is this? Where am I? Oh yeah, I was enveloped in a bright light. And then...
Traveler, you have been summoned to the world of Mildgard by the Otherworlder's summoning spell. There's been a mistake!
Huh?
In today's episode, our story begins with Takumi Iruma, a regular Japanese salaryman pushing 40, getting caught up in the world's most inconvenient case of mistaken identity. The Holy Empire of Cydonia casts a forbidden summoning spell to bring 3 heroes to their world. But this spell is so dangerous, it could literally collapse reality itself. Therefore, the goddess Nolan tries to intervene, but she's a bit too late, and poor Takumi gets accidentally swept up in the magical chaos. Congratulations, you've been summoned, Nolan cheerfully announces. But then she drops the bombshell. It was all a mistake. Takumi wasn't supposed to be on the summoning list at all. The 3 actual heroes are safely delivered to the Empire, while he's stuck in limbo with a goddess who's nervously giggling about her oopsie. Can you send me back home? Takumi asks hopefully. But Nolan has some bad news and some worse news. The bad news is, she can't send him home because she patched the spell to prevent future disasters. The worse news? His original body no longer exists. Therefore, she offers him a consolation prize, magical abilities, a younger body that makes him actually hot, and a fresh start in the kingdom of Barcula.
Get this away from... Ah! It's inside me!
Bye! Work hard and have fun!
I can explain any of this first!
I did not like that at all.
Takumi finds himself in a fantasy world with RPG-style skills. He's got magic, an item box that can store basically anything, and the wisdom to choose production jobs over dangerous hero work. I'm not one to go looking for trouble, he sensibly declares. But trouble has a funny way of finding him anyway.
Wind cutter! Okay, time to find a village.
While exploring his new world, he hears a girl screaming for help. It's Molly, a young herb gatherer being chased by a giant carnivorous rabbit. But this isn't your average bunny, it's a horned rabbit the size of a small car with anger management issues.
A rabbit? Wait.
It's huge! Hold on, are rabbits carnivores in this world?
Takumi defeats it in his first battle, probably thanks to beginner's luck rather than divine intervention. Nolan helpfully confirms she doesn't waste her blessings on minor issues. Therefore, Molly guides him back to Board Village.
Hi, I'm Takumi.
Her parents Banga and Martha welcome him with open arms. The village turns out to be a craftsman's paradise. There's high-quality wood lying around, ore veins nearby, and enough medicinal herbs to stock a pharmacy. But Takumi gets a bit too excited with his new alchemy skills and literally works himself unconscious. Martha scolds him like a concerned mother, while Molly brings him food and checks if he's still breathing. Therefore, he learns to pace himself while mastering multiple crafting disciplines. His blacksmithing and alchemy levels skyrocket as he creates everything from cooking utensils to healing potions. But the real adventure begins when he ventures into the forest alone. He encounters an armored boar, a massive beast that shrugs off his magic attacks like they're gentle breezes. But just when things look hopeless, a poison spider appears. Instead of making his day worse, the spider actually helps him fight. Therefore, Takumi gets the bright idea to use alchemy as a weapon, decomposing the boar's brain from the inside out.
Alchemy! Decompose!
Heal.
After healing the injured spider, something unexpected happens. He tames it, gaining the ability to communicate telepathically. He names her Maple because of the white pattern on her back. But the naming triggers an evolution, transforming her into a killer spider.
Did you evolve? Oh, it's okay. She's a monster I tamed while I was out foraging.
The villagers are understandably nervous about his new 8-legged companion, but they're too grateful for the boar meat to complain too much. Meanwhile, back in the Holy Empire, the 3 proper heroes meet Empress Elizabeth.
You've been summoned here for a purpose. We require the power that each of you possesses to help save this world.
But Hiro Akane receives a divine warning from Nolan. Elizabeth cannot be trusted. Therefore, while Takumi enjoys his peaceful village life, political intrigue brews in the Empire.
Bolton?
What he doesn't know is that Nolan's fellow goddess reveals a shocking truth. Takumi wasn't just sent to another world, but also a year into the past, before the Empire even began their summoning ritual. What plans does Nolan truly have for her accidental hero? The threads of fate are just beginning to unravel in this delightfully chaotic isekai adventure. The next morning, Takumi wakes up to find himself completely wrapped in spiderwebs, the handiwork of his pet Maple, who had been feeling a bit lonely. Instead of being annoyed, he chuckles and realizes how much time he spent buried in potion making, unintentionally neglecting her. Therefore, he decides to take a break and play with the adorable spider. Martha walks in at the worst possible moment, finding Takumi tangled up in webs. But rather than panicking about a giant spider attack, she gets excited about the premium spider silk. Therefore, Maple suddenly becomes the village's new textile goldmine, producing luxury threads that could make everyone rich. While Maple gets busy with her new silk spinning career, Takumi contemplates his future. He's been living in Board Village for nearly a month now, but his dream of studying alchemy in a proper city keeps calling to him. Therefore, he starts planning his departure, even though leaving these kind villagers feels heartbreaking. The village blacksmith Bonga finishes crafting Takumi some protective gear, but he also drops some practical wisdom about producers needing to defend themselves in monster-filled forests. Therefore, Takumi realizes his peaceful village life hasn't prepared him for the dangerous world outside. Banga arranges for Takumi to travel with a trader named Popek to the city of Bolton.
Purification. There! It should be edible now.
But before leaving, Martha gives him a crucial warning about his light magic abilities. Therefore, Takumi learns that his purification powers are extremely rare and valuable, making him a potential target for exploitation.
Mr. Manga, good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Kid, take care.
The departure day arrives with tearful goodbyes and a beautiful spider silk cloak as a farewell gift.
What's this?
Well, make sure your room stays exactly the way you left it.
The journey to Bolton isn't entirely smooth sailing. Therefore, when goblins attack their carriage, Takumi gets his first taste of real combat alongside the bodyguard team, Lionfang.
Let's go!
It took longer than I expected, though.
After that, our journey continued peacefully without another incident.
Maple shows her personality during the trip, immediately bonding with the gentle giant Bogar, but she completely terrorizes poor Riel, who made the mistake of waking her up. Even monsters apparently have preferences when it comes to making friends. Bolton welcomes Takumi with overwhelming sights and sounds of a bustling medieval city, but his plans to join an alchemist guild hit a snag when he discovers none exists in Bolton. Therefore, he reluctantly registers with the Adventurers Guild instead, just to get proper identification. Popek examines Takumi's potions and offers surprisingly generous prices for his entire stock. But this windfall of 7,000 silver coins comes with some unexpected responsibilities. Therefore, Takumi suddenly finds himself wealthy enough to rent an enormous mansion with a built-in workshop. The new home comes with luxury accommodations.
Move in tomorrow.
Thanks. I'd appreciate it.
Bolton's medieval sewage system assaults Takumi's modern sensibilities with its terrible smell. Therefore, he decides to solve this problem by crafting magical toilets that purify waste using his light magic.
Mr. Takumi!
Popek discovers Takumi's revolutionary toilet invention during an unfortunately timed bathroom emergency, but instead of being embarrassed, he immediately recognizes the commercial potential. Therefore, he places an order for 100 toilets, turning Takumi into an unexpected sanitation entrepreneur. This success brings new warnings about the dangers of Takumi's abilities. But Popek explains how the Sidonian Church views light magic users as divine property. Therefore, Takumi must keep his powers secret to avoid being kidnapped and forced into Imperial service. The toilet mass production project requires additional help, but Paypek's solution involves purchasing a slave, which conflicts with Takumi's moral principles. Therefore, our reluctant hero faces a dilemma between his ethical beliefs and practical business needs. The Adventurers Guild reminds Takumi about his monthly quest requirements, but managing a growing business while completing dangerous missions seems impossible alone. Therefore, he reluctantly agrees to visit the slave trader, despite his personal reservations about the institution. At the Mulan Slave Company, Takumi encounters a mysterious female elf in the garden, but rather than a warm welcome, she bluntly tells him to leave. Therefore, his search for help takes yet another unexpected turn, leaving him wondering what complications this encounter might bring to his already complex new life in Bolton. Mulan, the sharp-tongued manager, quickly sets him straight about how things work in the kingdom of Barkula. Slaves actually have rights here, and masters are legally bound to provide food, shelter, and decent treatment. It's more like a binding employment contract than the horrific slavery Takumi initially imagined, but the whole setup still feels weird to him. Therefore, he decides to hear them out when Mulan introduces him to Maria, an adorable maid who's been trained in all the household management skills he desperately needs. Maria gets flustered when Takumi compliments her appearance, but then she starts frantically clarifying that she absolutely cannot and will not sleep with him. The poor guy is mortified and keeps insisting he's a gentleman who just wants housekeeping help. But Maria keeps repeating her boundaries until everyone's thoroughly embarrassed. Once they clear up that misunderstanding, the contract with Maria goes smoothly. But then Maria mentions another slave named Sophia, and Mulan's expression immediately turns sour. She clearly doesn't want to discuss Sophia, but Takumi's intuition skill is practically screaming at him to investigate further. Therefore, he insists on meeting this mysterious Sophia, despite Mulan's obvious reluctance.
Something's telling me I can't take no for an answer.
What he finds is a broken elf warrior who's been trapped in the trading company for 50 years. Sophia has a scarred ear, crippled limbs, and her magical abilities have been completely sealed by some kind of curse. But when Takumi secretly checks her status, he discovers she's incredibly powerful underneath all that damage. Mulan considers Sophia basically worthless as a fighter, but Takumi sees potential where everyone else sees problems. Therefore, he shocks everyone by agreeing to contract with Sophia too, claiming he can fix her curse and heal her injuries. Sophia herself seems resigned to whatever fate awaits her, but Takumi isn't having any of that defeated attitude.
You're all set. The paperwork has been fully executed.
The contracts get signed, and both Maria and Sophia officially become part of Takumi's household.
What is that?
Maria? What's wrong?
Now I'm just as useful as a toilet and an apron! No, less useful than that even!
Here are the items you requested. They're packed and ready. I've done my best to wrap them securely.
Takumi's curiosity gets the better of him when he spots a church he's never noticed before. Inside, he meets Lady Nolan again, who explains the religious politics of this world with her usual divine sass. Apparently, there are two competing religions, her Church of Creation and Sidonia's Church of Divine Light. The twist is that Sidonia's goddess doesn't actually exist, but they've been using fake divine authority to grab power and summon heroes from other worlds. But Nolan delivers some concerning news. Her blessing that's been making Takumi's life relatively easy is about to wear off. Therefore, he's going to have to start dealing with real challenges and genuinely dangerous people instead of the parade of helpful allies he's been meeting. Meanwhile, in Sidonia, the summoned heroes are getting the full military training treatment.
Sir Yamato, if you fight like that, you won't last long in battle. Go harder, Sir Akira! That's simply not enough!
Akira and Yamato are buying into the whole save the world narrative, but Akane remains suspicious of Elizabeth and the Empire's true motives. Back at the mansion, Sophia becomes convinced that Takumi is up to something sinister when she witnesses him conducting painful experiments in his workshop. She sees him deliberately poisoning and cutting himself, screaming in agony, but what she doesn't realize is that he's actually leveling up his light magic skills. Therefore, when she finally confronts him about his evil behavior, she discovers the truth. Every bit of suffering was preparation to break her 50-year-old curse. Takumi successfully dispels Sophia's curse and heals her crippled body, restoring her magical abilities and physical strength. Therefore, Sophia realizes she completely misjudged her new master and pledges her loyalty to him for life. The story wraps up with Takumi having successfully assembled his household team, but with the warning that his easy mode is about to end and real challenges lie ahead. Following his successful household establishment, Takumi finds himself in a massive library, but he's puzzled by something odd. Only 4 books on alchemy exist in this enormous collection. He quickly realizes why alchemy seems so simple to him but difficult for everyone else. The ancient texts are written in a dead language from a forgotten magical civilization. But thanks to Lady Nolan's blessing from his reincarnation, Takumi can read every language in this world. Therefore, what appears impossible to others becomes child's play for him.
That's why it's so easy for me.
We made an awful lot of toilets, didn't we?
Yeah, filling the order should be no problem.
With his toilet-making business finally stable, Takumi decides it's time for adventure. He plans to explore the world, find new resources, and taste exotic foods. But Maria, his devoted maid, refuses to be left behind. She pleads with dramatic flair, comparing herself to a toilet left alone in a burning desert. Takumi checks her stats and discovers something surprising. Maria isn't just an exceptional maid. She possesses impressive combat abilities, magic skills, and even thief techniques. Therefore, he agrees to let her join their adventuring party. Sophia volunteers to train Maria in combat arts. Takumi gets to work crafting weapons and armor for his companions. He forges a longsword, spear, longbow, and knives for Sophia. Maria receives a short sword and throwing knives. But being a battle maid, Takumi decides she needs thigh-mounted blades for style. A mysterious crow calls him an idiot for this decision. Takumi ignores the crow's judgment and continues his work. He creates custom armor using materials from the huge armored boar and maple spider silk. The armor fits perfectly, thanks to detailed dolls he secretly crafted using his appraisal skill. Both women are amazed by the quality and comfort of their new gear. Takumi also presents them with enchanted rings to focus their magical abilities.
Yeah, but think of it as my own form of training. So it worked out. Besides, I now have ice and lightning magic thanks to that.
Alright, here you go. 2 guild cards.
The party heads to the Adventurers Guild to register Sophia and Maria. But trouble finds them when 3 thuggish adventurers harass the women. The leader, Daebul, tries to intimidate Takumi and steal his companions. Takumi stands his ground, but he doesn't fight back conventionally. Instead, he uses alchemy to coat his upper body with charcoal. Then he transmutes the charcoal into diamond-hard skin. Therefore, when Daebul punches him, the thug's hand breaks against Takumi's unbreakable defense. Guildmaster Barak investigates the incident and discovers Takumi's alchemical abilities.
Do I have to answer that?
Personal information is protected.
Takumi, there were faint traces of mana present.
Impressed by his unique skills, Barak offers them several quests to rank up quickly. The party accepts missions to exterminate goblins and kobolds while gathering herbs. They encounter far more monsters than expected. Sophia realizes there's probably a goblin camp with a general nearby. A goblin general typically requires 5 rank D parties to defeat. Therefore, most would consider this suicide for a single party of 3. The trio launches a coordinated magical assault on the massive goblin encampment. Sophia summons blade storms, Maria creates rock avalanches, and Takumi unleashes fire magic. Hundreds of goblins perish in their devastating attack. But the goblin general survives and charges them with his elite knights. The battle is fierce, but Takumi's party emerges victorious. During the fight, Maple announces she's about to evolve. Takumi quickly stores her in his pocket dimension for safety. When she emerges, Maple has transformed into an arachne. She now possesses a human torso atop her spider body and can speak clearly. Therefore, their party dynamics change as Maple becomes a more active participant.
You've completed them already?
Yeah. We're exhausted, but we handled all your quests.
That's impossible. What you've done requires a squad consisting of multiple members ranked D or higher.
Guildmaster Barak can barely believe they completed such dangerous quests in mere hours. He promotes Takumi to rank E and both women to rank F. Later, Maria shyly asks Takumi for fabric scraps to make underwear, but when Takumi shows her modern bra and panty designs, Maria becomes obsessed. She begs him to craft these revolutionary undergarments. Takumi spends 3 entire days in his workshop perfecting the designs. When he presents the finished lingerie, both women offer to model them immediately. Therefore, Takumi's face turns bright red as he frantically refuses their generous offer. Meanwhile, Papik arrives with a message from Marquis Godwin Bolton. The Lord wants to meet Takumi personally.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I must say your magical device is truly wonderful.
Godwin praises Takumi's toilets for improving the city's sanitation and preventing disease. He also thanks him for eliminating the goblin threat his own knights had ignored. Godwin warns Takumi about the Holy Empire of Sidonia. They will likely come for him soon. Therefore, Takumi must remain vigilant while continuing his alchemical adventures. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the episode and want a part 2, let me know in the comments.